1.9% was hybrid. So you can see the consistent increase in acceptance of the AGS. Experiential marketing, yes, I think that's the way to go in Jimny. The AGS, which your question pertains to, roughly is about 65% of our total automatic transmission sales. So since 2014 till today, the increase of AGS acceptance is clearly visible. In fact, if you look at our total sales and the penetration of AGS, it's today about 8%. Last year it was about 6%, and the previous year it was about 4%. So you can see the consistent increase in acceptance of the AGS, primarily because it gives you that great convenience of automatic transmission, while the price difference that you pay over and above the manual transmission is just around 50,000 or so for the AGS. The 10 lakh so vehicles that we have sold in automatic transmission, about 35% is in the south region, which is fairly substantial. But we have to also see how much is the penetration in relation to the total sale that we do in south, which is also substantial. You have also to see how many cities are there which have got large sales. So typically, if we include in the south, there are many cities where we have large sales. We have Chennai, we have Bangalore, we have Cochin, Trivandrum, Hyderabad, and so on, Vizag, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of cities also. So in relation to that, we have to see the sales in the south. But you are right, the penetration is large amount of vehicles get sold in the south. And also remember that it depends on the total volume or segment wise, and south is a large percentage of vehicles which are MUVs, where the penetration of automatic transmission is higher, as also the penetration of the premium hatches in the south is larger, and that is why you see a larger sale. But of course there is some difference in consumer perception about the technology of the AGS as also the automatic transmission, which also explains a little bit of why the penetration is higher in the south. If you include an automatic transmission in the CNG, a CNG with respect to the manual transmission is roughly about a 90 to 95,000 rupees more expensive. And if you add the automatic transmission, then it becomes even more expensive, and therefore you will drive away some of those consumers who may be price sensitive, and that is the reason why they are taking CNG, because they are very sensitive to running cost and the cost of acquisition also. So you have to strike that balance between providing that additional convenience of your automatic transmission, at the same time the fuel type powertrain for CNG, which gives you the lower running cost. At the same time, the cost of acquisition should not go up too much. So you have to do that balance, and that's what we are planning to do currently in the product planning. The eCVT, it was introduced in September of last year with our Grand Vitara, and very recently in the Invicto. So it's a very new technology, but it's a very promising technology, because we have seen the hybrids acceptance is also going up very strongly. In fact, in the month of September, about 1.9% was hybrid, as against 2.2% of EV. So the gap between the EVs and the hybrids have actually reduced, and hybrids were just recently introduced. So I believe that going forward, the hybrids will become a larger percentage, and strong hybrids work best with the CVT. So you could see the introduction in other models also. But as I said, it's difficult for me here to reveal our product planning strategy going forward. But it all depends on how the hybrids themselves are accepted, and I think the acceptance is going up dramatically. Hybrids is a great option, and I think going forward the government should encourage. And I keep giving the example of Olympic race. So there are 8 people in the final. They run the race. The one who comes first gets the gold medal. The number 2 gets a silver medal. The number 3 gets the bronze. So if you have a parallel example for auto industry, let's say even if you're looking at tailpipe emission, EV gets the gold, which means a great benefit from the EV. But hybrid is certainly a strong silver, and therefore some medal has to be given to it. CNG, I suppose, is the bronze category, going by that parallel Olympic race example. It should also have some benefit. So it is not as if the one who gets the gold and rest are equal. Probably hybrids in CNG in terms of emission levels are much better compared with a diesel or a gasoline, and therefore they also need support, and surely any support in this regard would be welcome. It's around 10%, and again, while the engine is really good and the performance is very good, we have to continuously watch that balance between the price sensitivity and the performance requirement. And I think in that sense, DITC has done well. Although I think the feedback which we keep receiving from consumers is, if only we could have it at a lower price, then it could be like really taking off. So yes, as a technology, great, performance great, and we have to see the balance, and I think 10% seems to be good at the moment. Essentially 3 reasons is what I can tell you why the quarter came out very good. One was that at the beginning of the quarter, we had a long waiting and pending bookings for some of the models which we couldn't produce, like the Ertiga, the Brezza, the Grand Vitara, the XL6, and that production could not happen because of the semiconductor shortage. And when in July, when we had much better supplies of semiconductor components, we could ramp up the production of these vehicles, which already had consumers waiting, and we could reduce the waiting period for our consumers, at the same time increase our production, and that obviously reflects in the numbers. So the volumes went up largely because of the production going up, because of the semiconductor supplies getting better. That was one reason. Second reason was Maruti Suzuki introduced 4 new products in the last 1 year, which was in the very fast growing MUV segment, SUV as well as MPV. So we introduced the Invicto very recently in the MPV segment. Then 3 SUVs, Jimny, Fronx and Grand Vitara. And those numbers came true because of the better production in this quarter. So that was the second reason. And the third reason, of course, is that Maruti Suzuki, because we have a much stronger presence in the SUV segment. We are now the number 1 manufacturer of SUV in the industry. So that is also a segment which is growing. So we could get the right products at the right time in the right growing segment, and that gave us those extra numbers compared with our competition. In fact, in Q2, the growth of Maruti Suzuki is double the growth of the competition. Because of that, we could get more consumers from our competition. So what is known as a win-over percentage. The win-over percentage is what percentage of the consumers have bought your product who would otherwise have not considered your product but would have gone to the competition. That percentage has increased. So these are the 3 main reasons why our quarter has been very good. And we do hope that this run continues in the balanced quarters as well. What Jimny does is not just to get additional volume. It does about 2,500 is what it is doing at the moment. So in the light of our overall sale of almost 150,000, 155,000, it's a small percentage. but it does a great contribution in terms of the sporty brand image that rubs off on the other vehicles in our portfolio. And regarding your question about experiential marketing, yes, I think that's the way to go in Jimny, in marketing where we show usage by the consumers for their off-roading activities, and that should enhance its brand image. And ultimately, when the volumes in this segment also increase, then we will be in a position to get larger volumes for the Jimny.